Hello everyone, welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet that watched the new Nintendo Direct. I'm willing to join me this week, Brandon.
Hell yeah.
Ills.
Almost dead.
And Mina.
But Rex is alive?
No, he's also dead.
Rex is pointless.
All that is left is the anime women that aren't named Elma, who's also an anime.
That aren't named Elma. They've completely erased Xenoblade Chronicles X from the timeline.
That's probably for the best.
Xenoblade X is bad.
It's a good game.
Saf?
It's good.
Saf chose to go to bed before we recorded, and this is what he gets. We're just going to talk crap on Xenoblade X for an hour.
I'm not talking crap about it.
Sure. That's fair.
No, you can. We're inviting you.
Not gonna.
We had a Nintendo Direct this week after 500 days.
530 days.
Thank you for the specifics. And I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I also thought it was pretty good.
Yep.
I was pretty happy with it.
A person dying of thirst is gonna think anything tastes good.
Perhaps, though also people
You
that are
would think
dying of
that.
thirst get very picky online. So we might be the ones that are saying the
Yeah,
controversial stuff.
on the internet, you could be dying of thirst, and someone offers you a gallon of water, and you would think, what is this?
Why is this not lemonade?
Wow.
No, you would say, I don't need a gallon. I need a whole fucking river, you know? Like, you're dying of thirst and somebody's nice enough to offer you a little bit, but you're like, no, give me everything. In fact, give me the water that I haven't seen and I'm not sure exists, but I'm sure it does. I want you to give me that water.
This analogy is getting long. But let's just talk about what happened on the Direct. Why not? And Nintendo gave us, this is what Nintendo says are the featured games of the Direct. We'll start with them, right? Number 1, Splatoon 3 is coming in 2022, right?
Start with the end, huh?
Start with the end. That's what they say. So this game, okay, if you didn't see the trailer, if you didn't watch this Direct, congrats. It's in a new locale. Inkopolis, gone. Now we're in Splatsville, I think.
We're in the Splatlands.
Splatlands, yeah. Which is these big old desert wastelands, right? And then that's it opens in a way that's very strange.
Post-apocalyptic.
This Inkling is wearing their shirt is torn. They have a little buddy who's a salmonid, and they're making their way into the new town that apparently all the Inklings are moving to because Team Chaos won in the Splatfest.
Boo.
Good.
That's
bad.
You know,
That's bad.
it was worth it. I'll say.
Yeah.
So Splatsville is also known as the City of Chaos, apparently. So it's fascinating. I mean, I'm already super into the theme of this, right? Like, I love that Splatoon does this whole thing of like, oh, that last Splatfest we did, that has severe implications.
Yeah.
Right? We may start off with something as silly as ketchup versus mayo, but the thing we end on is very important.
I think this one's even funnier, right? Because the first game was Callie and Marie, right? And that had implications for who was going to be the villain in the next game, right? This game is Chaos and Order is such high stakes. This is a worldview. And the Inklings are conforming to this worldview because of the Splatfest results. I think it's very...
Do you really think it would have been that different if Order would have won?
Functionally?
Yes.
Wow.
How different? Like, try to imagine it.
I think the entire aesthetic would be different for one, right? You wouldn't have this like Mad Max-esque aesthetic.
But what do you
right?
think it would be?
It would be this
A totalitarian state. It would be
yes.
like there's absolute control by the government. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of fun that they decide that the direction we take the game in is entirely dependent on who won this last Splatfest, right? I think that's just a lot of fun. You don't really see that. Like, who else does that, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Especially from Nintendo, right? They are people that think of the gameplay and work backwards, right? Where this one, but speaking of gameplay, we did see some of it in the trailer, right? The sort of 3 things we know is now you all spawn hanging from this like little, look almost like a washing machine, right? And you choose where you shoot out to fight. It looks like, right? And there's a new bow and arrow weapon that they showed off, right? And then they mentioned on the research lab, which is their like blog basically, that there's 2 new techniques. One where you can swim faster, but you sort of pop out of the ground so you're more visible, and one where you swim up walls faster, but you pop out up top, right? Which I think are interesting, obviously, because we talked about Splatoon pretty recently on this podcast during the list. That's the biggest differentiating factor, right? Is that movement, of diving in and out of the ink, and that also being the reload and everything else, right? So adding new layers on top, just,
Well, you also have those, like, little pets. I don't know what they do, but...
Yeah, we don't know. We saw little Buddy at the beginning of the trailer. It was little Salmonid, little baby Salmonid, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know what he does yet, but we know you can customize him. I'm sure he serves some sort of gameplay purpose. I'm excited. I mean, I am of the belief that if we are getting a Splatoon 3, we're getting a full numbered sequel, it's because they have some ideas that they just truly cannot do in 2, right?
Sure.
And so I'm excited to see what necessitates a sequel. I already feel like we have a lot of pretty good promise. Obviously, this was just a teaser, though. And it's pretty far off, right? 2022.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, the most surprising thing, because they came into this direct being like, first half of 21 games, and then here's a 2022 game.
Yeah.
2 2022 games.
So I was going to ask about that, right? Because then we can get to I don't know how much you want to talk about Splatoon still, right? But they almost skipped the holiday. They almost skipped the second half of 2021, right, to go to 2022. And we will get that direct down the line, right? That was the thing they... I think this was great. Shinya Takahashi, right, that he was at the beginning saying, listen, last year, circumstances led to us not being able to do directs in the way we normally do. We can do them now, and we're going to get back on it, right? And, like, you don't need much more, right? Just make it, what we all assumed was the case, right? All the fretting about our directs gone turned out to not be, necessary.
COVID made it so that they had to change gears a little bit last year, but we're back, and that's a lot of fun. But about Splatoon, I think this is a great like closing announcement, right? Like people are, where's Breath of the Wild, where's Metroid, whatever, right? And I get it to an extent, but Splatoon is one of their biggest franchises. This is worthy of a, and one more thing, their last big teaser,
Yeah.
It just I think this is a really fun announcement. And,
plus, I mean, it's something new. It's not like something you already heard of. Like, it's not Metroid Prime 4, which you already knew was coming. It's something that completely blew it out of the water.
Right, like, we didn't
I don't
know
think
Splatoon 3 existed. And I didn't know what to expect for that when Shinya Takahashi was like, one more thing, right? And I was like, what is it? What is this? And you have that anticipation, and I see that inkling, and I'm like, holy shit, right? Immediately, just right off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. Just like, oh my god, this is something just we haven't seen. I wasn't not expecting Splatoon to show up at all here, right? I wasn't even expecting a Splatoon 3, period. Yeah. Right? At least on the Switch. And so just to get that on this system is crazy, because how often do you see the same system sequel, right? From Nintendo, I should say. And so Splatoon getting that treatment is a pretty big deal, I think, right? Yeah, I don't know. I just found this to be a very exciting announcement.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Splatoon has come out with 3 games in the course of
7 years.
2017. No, 2017 was the last one, right? So it's been 5 years, but it was 2 years before. So 7 years. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Pretty rapid pace.
For Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's also crazy that, 5 years since Splatoon 2, it does not feel that way, right?
It does not feel like 5 years at all. No.
Yeah, that's...
Well, it hasn't been 5 years, but...
Yeah, it's been 4 years, but by the time it comes out,
it'll
have been a good 5 years. And so, I saw some people being like, already? But it's like, no, it's not already. Like, are you saying already for a Breath of the Wild sequel, right? Like,
Yeah.
Also, I mean, they seem to have a lot of confidence in this franchise. Like, even though it's pretty new, like, it's only, like, the 3rd game in the series. I mean, they have a lot of fucking confidence bringing it back so early.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like they know this franchise is a big deal. They know, and I think part of why I was wondering, like, why announce Splatoon now, right? Because it is so far off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also just makes sense in that Splatoon 2 support ended somewhat recently, right? July 2019 was the last big Splatfest. Then they started to kind of bring it back over the last year, but still on a smaller scale, right? Like we haven't got new content in a while in the game, right?
Yeah.
And this is a series that thrives on just continued support, and this is them telling us, hey, Splatoon 2 may be over, but the franchise sure ain't, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're still trucking on, and so I think it's a smart announcement in that sense. Like it just keeps the franchise in the conversation, right? I think that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if people that were like, "Is this a big deal on the internet?" Like, once again, it's get outside of that bubble, right? Like, look at like Splatoon is 2. What's it at right now, Mina?
It is at 12 million, almost 12, just under 12 million copies sold.
Sure, right, and like in comparison to like a Metroid game, it's the order of magnitude bigger, right? And it's a new thing.
Well, the way I would put it is it sold more than the best-selling Metroid, Star Fox, and F-Zero games combined.
Sure.
Well, you put F-Zero in there, you're putting like 30,000 games. Come on.
Yeah, but all that is to say, right? Like, with Direct, there's always the thing of I hope for this one thing, right? But just because it's not the one thing you want doesn't mean it's not a big deal,
Yeah, and Splatoon is just undeniably a big thing. I think some people still have a hard time seeing it as such because it is so new, right? It is only 6 years old right now, right? And so it's like, okay, like, where's the big thing? But it's like, no, this is a big thing. This is undeniably just a huge, huge deal. And it's one of their tentpole franchises, right? Like, you go to the Nintendo Tokyo store, right? And what are their main 4 sections? It's Mario, it's Zelda, it's Animal Crossing, it's Splatoon, right? Sure. Like, to them, like, these are their 4 core pillar franchises. Obviously Pokemon, but that's not... Pokemon's also just its own thing, right? But, like, in terms of Nintendo EPD, like, to them, those are their 4 core franchises. These are the franchises that they rely on that you're going to see until the end of time, basically. Yeah. Right?
They love Splatoon. They sure do.
And we love Splatoon.
We love Splatoon. We definitely do. Splatoon, by the way, has debuted as a franchise and gotten 2 sequels now. So there's been 3 Splatoon games. And this all happened between Mario Kart 8 and whatever the sequel for Mario Kart is.
Dang. Put
Splatoon as a franchise is younger than fucking Mario Kart 8 as a game.
And when you put it that way, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, moving on from Splatoon, right? Because there's plenty more. Right, we'll go back to the beginning of the Direct, and the thing that we knew walking in, which was we're going to get an update for Smash. And it's Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, not Rex. We hate that guy.
So glad it's not Rex. So fucking glad.
I'm glad it's not Rex. I mean, I think after ARMS, I think a lot of people were like, Xenoblade 2 character has to be happening. And they were right.
Because Sakurai's gone on record to say that he wanted a Xenoblade Chronicles game character and ARMS character in Smash, and it's like he's doing it.
They were too close to launch.
He straight up said if those games had come out just a little bit earlier, Springman and Rex would have been guaranteed in the game. Right?
And instead, we had the better options for both of them.
Yeah,
time worked out on our side.
Min is certainly better than Springman, and Pyra and Mithra are the same. I'm happy. Okay, we gotta get it out of the way. Those designs are controversial, to say the least. I would say just bad. So at least Pyra anyway.
Improved, but yeah.
But I think they look better in Smash. Yeah. Which is nice. I like the gameplay gimmick. Right, you just switch on the fly between them. We have our Zelda chic back, kinda. Right. And they're treated as separate characters too. Like on the website, they're listed as 2 separate characters.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm curious to see how different these two characters are from each other, right? Obviously, they're both sword characters still, but I think there's still a lot of room to separate them, and I think that's just having a duo character is just a fun gimmick, right?
Especially because sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there, Els.
Go ahead.
Because the only swapping character we really have right now is Pokemon Trainer, right? Mm-hmm. Pokemon Trainer are different because they are three different clear use cases, right? Squirtle is a poker lightweight, you know, medium heavyweight, right? And they take longer to swap, right? Like when you're swapping, you're sort of sticking around with one for a while. Well, like in this trailer, I think that they show interesting is like you see them use Pyra/Mythra swapping is almost like a spot dodge length.
Yeah,
like it's super fast, right? So like if you play optimally, there could be times where like you know these two are things that you are swapping back and forth a lot, right? Not unlike what they do in the base game, right?
I wonder.
Sorry, go ahead.
I wonder, since it's so fast, I wonder if there's going to be a cooldown between like swapping.
Yeah,
I really don't think so. I think it'll just, you know, switch whenever you want. Because I think that's just what their gameplay is going to be based on, right? It's just you choosing what is optimal at the time. Though to be fair, if it's anything like previous Smash games, not this one, but like, you know, when Zelda and Sheik were together, generally Zelda was just useless.
Yeah. Well, because the promise of Zelda Sheik was always, oh, Sheik racks up damage, Zelda gets kills, right? Was sort of the expressed idea, but it never worked that way, right? Where I feel like the same thing in Pyra/Mythra, like say in the trailer, like with Mythra's speed and Pyra's power, like you're unstoppable, right? And it's sort of like or maybe
they're going for that again, though. Yeah. Weirdly, I guess Pyra. Well, no, yeah, Zelda was default and Pyra's default, right? Yeah. But I think they're going for that same kind of gimmick that Zelda and Sheik promised, right? So who knows how that works in execution? Mm-hmm. Though obviously Ultimate, where the characters switch so fucking quickly, may help encourage that a little bit more.
Yeah, like hopefully
I don't play competitive, so
yeah.
I mean, they also have dramatically different special moves. I mean, much like Zelda and Sheik do, but like it's cool that even from the trailer that they showed, they're obviously using a lot of the moves that were in the Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like Prominence or Vault and Blazing End. Those were like her specials and Pyra's specials and Xenoblade
Photon Edge and like other stuff.
Yeah, Photon. Yeah.
So cool. That's coming in March, by the way. So you know we've had a shorter turnaround from announcement to release, but this one's sort of back to a more normal schedule. Next up,
we'll see it in a month. Though March is soon. It's like 2 weeks from now.
True. February. You're missing a couple of days.
So you know, I imagine because Monster Hunter's out at the end of the month. I think they'll have it out relatively soon. Mm-hmm. So we're not waiting that long.
Speaking of, the only game that's not a new announcement that's part of their featured is Monster Hunter, right? So clearly they view it as a big release, right?
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about Pyra/Mythra though, the trailer. Did you guys know immediately it was Smash?
Yes.
Okay, because when I was watching this trailer, I was like, "Is this a direct sequel to Xenoblade 2?" Like,
it had me for a while. It had me up until you see like Final Destination Spike, and I was like, "Oh, that's FD." Right.
Wait a sec.
I realized it. I didn't realize it the second it started, but once going now.
See, I thought this was a game about finding Pyra, and then when I saw Pyra, I was like, okay, they wouldn't just reveal her right immediately if the fucking gimmick of the game is Pyra/Mythra were lost, right? Yeah. But so at that point I knew, but it took a bit for me to realize that. I was like, why would you want a direct sequel to Xenoblade 2? But
on second watch, it's also very funny because you realize there's no other voice actors beside Rex. And you're like, clearly they would be saying things in these scenes, you know? So yeah. But it's the most faked out I've been since Joker, I would say. Joker I did not get until literally he flipped the thing over and it was the Smash logo.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but everyone said
also, I mean, it was like the Game Award, so you wouldn't expect it there.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it at all.
I thought it was Persona 5 Switch, which will never exist.
Well, One day, maybe.
One day. Monhun.
What are you talking about? We have Persona 5 Strikers.
It just came out.
Monster Hunter. The trailer was cool. I don't have much to say about the trailer, though. I mean, I'm still just very excited for the game. They did announce a Monster Hunter digital event coming, though, right?
Yeah, the 8th, right?
On the 8th of March. And it's going to show stories, too, as well, which we haven't seen since they announced it.
Yeah, I thought that would be this direct, so I was,
Yeah, so did I.
From the leaks, we know that's in July, right? So I would hope we see it, right? Sure. But yeah, they've outright confirmed that we'll see stories, too. As
well, what they showed, it seemed like, is Rampage like a different mode, you think? Or just like an event that happens?
It seems like an event that happens.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, it's like, every now and then all these monsters come at you. And
I like that arena that they showed off, right? Like a lot of different sort of like places you can be and stuff you can activate, right? There was some of that in World. I don't know if there was that in Generations. You both played that.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit in one of the boss fights.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they keep showing off that game every time. I just think, man, this looks very good. Next up, there was Mario Golf Super Rush. Brandon.
Yes.
Big win.
I willed it into existence. I can't believe it, man. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I can believe it just off the basis of it's been out 3 years since Mario Tennis Aces.
Well, but
still,
in comparison, it has been almost 18 years since we had a console Mario Golf game, which is crazy.
Exactly. They've skipped out on Mario Golf since the GameCube.
But it was on the 3DS.
Yeah, it's been sure.
But 100%. We're talking about for consoles. It's been a long time.
And like the Mario Golf 3DS game is good. I don't want to claim otherwise. But the stuff that's new to this game, first they Mario is wearing outfits. We're continuing the tradition, but it's even better now. But which is the most exciting feature? No, the probably the most exciting feature is they show off this sort of speed golf mode, right? As the name might have come from Super Rush, which is essentially you all tee off at the same time. You're all running around the map at the same time to get to your ball to try to not just get it in and through his shots, but get it done quickly. And so they show. You can use like specials where you can like knock and stun other people, right? Like Luigi uses an ice flower, Peach uses her like baton, right? Stuff like that. And then they also showed off a story mode where you play as your Mii, which are their back.
Yes.
And that has, we've already seen more RPG stuff than was in Ace's story mode.
It's an oh my god.
Well, Aces had no RPG stuff.
It was just like, you got a better racket, kid.
Yeah, you got a better racket. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted in multiple ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because like the Mario Sports, I guess the Mario Sports games on handheld had RPG story modes, right?
Well, the GBA, the Game Boy Color and GBA ones did. Yes.
Pre 3DS. And in those, you didn't play as Mario, right? You played as an avatar of some sort, right? And I think playing as a Mii kind of allows for them to bring back that kind of spirit, right? Of like, hey, you're not in an academy or anything, but still, right? Like just I think I think they're more open to doing this kind of like RPG kind of thing when you're playing as your Mii, right? Which is fun.
Plus, I mean, it makes more sense. Mario's already an established character. You expect him to have established stats.
Yeah, exactly. And I always thought that was really cool about those games, where like you were just like this avatar character, and Mario was like had this lore around him.
He's a legendary figure.
Yeah, Mario's the best golf player ever. And you're just like, oh wow, I can't wait to like golf against Mario. It's gonna be so fucking cool. Like, I just really liked that. I thought it was neat. So I'm excited to see that. Who knows what it's gonna be exactly?
Yeah.
Really, we don't really know any details, but regardless, I'm excited about it.
That's coming in July. June?
Yeah.
June.
I am looking forward to like that Super Rush mode. That seems like it's going to be chaotic as hell. Like,
Yeah, it looks fun.
That speed golf, right? It looks a lot of fun. I like that you can like. I like that you're actually running around on the course, right? And there's power up, because I always felt like Mario Golf was always the most restrained of the Mario sports, right? For better or for worse. And they still have that core gameplay, but having these extra modes allows them to get a little weirder with it and showcase that this is a Mario sports game, right? Not just a sports game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to playing this.
Mm-hmm.
And the golf club's coming back.
Golf club is coming back. We're Brandon settling on a date, but he swore that if Mario Golf got announced, he would bring back the golf club on our Twitch channel every week for the year.
Every week. For the whole year.
It got announced very early in the year, so...
So it's back for the entire year. So, it's going to happen. I made a promise. Probably Monday or Tuesday, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. But when I know for sure, you will just follow us on Twitter. You'll know.
Yeah. So there was that. Next up was perhaps the best name of the Direct. Project Triangle Strategy working title is the next in the HD 2D series, right? Which, if you know what that means, that's the style used in Octopath Traveler. This is, as the name would imply, a strategy game. And sort of the things they show off is, hey, you're the main character, right? But there's 3 different sort of people that are vying for your ear, right? One's your best friend, one's your, like, mentor, and one is your, like, fiance or something, right? And you're sort of making decisions that are designed to, like, their whole pitch is like, how strong are your convictions, right? Like, which path will you go on, right? And that manifests in a couple ways, because there's a demo that came out that Saf played some of, but he's not here, right? But part of that is, like, when you get to story decisions, it's not just what you decide, it's what your group decides, right? So there'll be times that you have to go around and try to convince people to your way of thinking, right? And some will be unconvincible, and they'll just maybe leave, who knows? And the other thing is, like, for example, in the demo, the thing that they give is when you're attacking this village, there might be civilians around, but you can burn the village to potentially smoke out adversaries, right? Which is, like, a morally more gray thing to do, right? But is, like, more utilitarian, right? Which is what one of the guys advocates for. And the thing that I appreciate is people that have played the demo are like, yo, if you don't do that, it's, like, a lot harder. Like, there is a big appreciable difference in decision making, right? Which is, I think, the thing that, hopefully Octopath showed a ton of promise to, but it never really came together, right? In a lot of ways. That this one, there will be, they clearly have a lot of good ideas of this team, right? And hopefully we get to see them implemented well here,
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with Octopath that kind of felt like a disappointment was that, like, you could use each character's, like, abilities, but, I mean, it wasn't necessary, really. Like, a lot of the times it wasn't really all that necessary to use them. Like, it wasn't integral to the story or anything like that.
Yeah.
So this seems like it's more connected to what the story is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Just the entire concept of the game is exciting to me, though. Because, Octopath did well enough that you would expect a sequel to Octopath, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we are getting a sequel, aren't we? What happened to that?
It is on mobile.
There's a mobile thing, otherwise they haven't announced anything yet. But I would still expect a sequel to Octopath on the Switch, to be honest, because this is a different team, right? Mm-hmm. But I think this is very exciting that Square Enix was like, hey, we have this engine that's just gorgeous, it produces gorgeous looking games, right? Why limit it to just Octopath, right? Why limit it to just JRPGs? Why not also make a strategy RPG, a tactical RPG, right? Something, here's a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy Tactics or Ogre Tactics, right? And that's just, I love this. I just love this conceptually so much. Mm-hmm. And I obviously it remains to be seen in execution how it turns out, but I am optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, it seems at least a lot more story focused than Octopath did. Mm-hmm. More. I don't know. We don't know that much about it yet, but I have high hopes for the story to be more impactful this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently that demo is pretty substantial, so just download it if you want to try. Saf was in call beforehand, and it was just like, he kept being like, okay, I'm going to beat the demo before we record. And then he's like, this thing's still fucking going. This thing's crazy. So you can check that out. The last feature that they have is a new question mark game. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. First, I feel like it's of note how this thing was announced. Eiji Aonuma appears on screen and immediately goes, I know you're all excited. Breath of the Wild 2 is not here today. It'll be shown later this year.
Yeah.
Which we can get to after.
I was always a long shot to expect Breath of the Wild 2, but I was still expecting it nonetheless. And they did mention it, and they said we're going to see it later this year. And to me, that's like, okay, like we're going to see it at E3 or there. Like, even if E3 doesn't happen, Nintendo Directs are back, right? And like, you know, we don't have anything past July that isn't for this year. And the next Smash characters on a June Direct just makes sense. E3 or not, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get a June Direct, I bet.
And I would almost guarantee you that's when we see Breath of the Wild, right?
Sure.
But we'll see later this year, nonetheless. And so that is somewhat enough for me. I would have liked to confirm that it's coming out this year, but
yeah.
Still, that's a win. I'll take that. At least them mentioning it is something and telling us we're gonna see more.
And that he said it's going smoothly. Right, which...
That too.
Because the last time we heard about a long-awaited game, it was, hey, we're restarting, right? So...
I mean, Hideki Kamiya also continues to say that Bayonetta 3 is going smoothly.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
But whose word are you going to take more of, you know?
But Skyward Sword, right? So, it's up-resed, right? It looks as you remember it, right?
It runs at 60 frames per second.
That is the biggest
That's
thing.
A big deal.
Good.
That's a pretty big improvement for, especially with motion controls, right? Just feels a lot more responsive.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, it's coming in July, right? Not a lot more to work off of. Other HD games, there's been improvements made. What are some improvements you would like to look for in this game?
I mean,
the flying doesn't suck.
Yeah,
use that processing power to go faster.
I mean, so I will play this game with motion controls. However, the flying I will gladly play with button controls. Because I mean, come on, the flying was not that great, flapping around. Yeah. I think the easy one and one that's similar to what they did in Twilight Princess is like the note collecting quest. I would just tone that down a fair bit.
Turn the threshold, turn the number down. So 25, you need 15. You know.
Yeah. I think that's just an easy fix. And I think there's a lot of just things here and there that you could just spruce. That'll make the game spruce up in general, right? Like I think making it so that not every fucking time you get an item, it gives you a prompt. Oh, this is what this is. No, once you've collected an item, I don't need to know what it is anymore.
Exactly. Right? Well, it was in Skyward Sword. It was every time you turn the game off and turn it back on and collect that item again, it would happen.
It would reset, and so then you would catch this certain kind of beetle, and it would tell you what this beetle is as if it was the first time you got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was done.
Whereas Breath of the Wild fixed that already, right? Breath of the Wild, after you get an item for the first time, they do not tell you what that is anymore. Yeah. Right.
Correct.
And I would prefer
Twilight Princess, I think, fixed that too. I think it had the similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Skyward Sword, that was one of my major annoyances, and that'll be easy to fix, I think. And I don't know how easy this is, but also just making Fee or Fi or whatever her name is, making her talk a little bit less. Yeah. That I think that would help a lot. But otherwise, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people's problems with Skyward Sword are more structural, and those are not things you can fix.
People are just like, cut out all the dragons, and you're like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to cut out all the dragons. I guess it is worth mentioning, I just progress on this, there is an option to play if you're on Switch Lite, right? Use the right stick to control the sword.
Yeah.
Or if you, not even just Switch Lite, if you play, handheld.
Handheld mode or Pro Controller or whatever.
Metal Gear. Metal Gear Rising.
They just added a non-motion control scheme.
Which I like.
Sure.
Yeah. I like that too.
I mean, the option is nice, but if you play without motion controls, you're disgusting, Just saying.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Metal. It's like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. You use the other stick to control your sword.
Yeah.
And it's going to be beautiful. Hopefully I can rip people's spines out, just like that game now.
Yeah. I hope Skyward Sword can be more appreciated now that we know it's not like the future of the franchise.
Yeah.
Right?
It better be. It fucking better be.
Though it's funny, Aonuma did sort of be like, listen, a lot of you, first game you ever played is Breath of the Wild in the series. We see that. This ain't gonna be like that. But we did introduce the sailcloth. And you're like, okay, all right, bud.
And the stamina bar.
The stamina bar.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so I mean, it is funny. Like Breath of the Wild doesn't happen without Skyward Sword, right? And I think it can be appreciated. There's plenty to still like about this game.
There is. We have it at a pretty decently high spot on the list.
Yeah.
Don't remember where, but
it's on the list.
It is. It's like I've already seen the discourse, and I which is respectable, and I understand like the people because it's $60, right? This is the whole thing, right? People are mad that it's $60,
mm-hmm.
and while I understand because I look at it and say $60 isn't much, but like I don't want to defend Nintendo in a way, but also. It's not the biggest deal in the fucking world, you know? It's not unexpected, I think is the most thing that makes me mad.
I think,
just
yes
reading
and no.
the discourse on it. It's like, did you expect it not to be $60 at this point?
I think Mario 3D All-Stars made people think, oh, Zelda's gonna get the same thing, right?
Yeah, for Zelda 35.
No.
Yeah.
It did not get the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been heavily, insiders are wrong, but like I would even with removing the insiders, we would not be shocked if Wind Waker and Twilight Princess make their way to the console after this. And
they're all $60.
And they're probably all 60, right?
I'm a little optimistic.
But they can still do like a 3D All Stars, just Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker.
Sure.
I think that they'll package Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD together and nothing else.
They're probably my guess, but
that would be nice. I would take that.
I would take that too.
I mean, because Zelda's weirder than Mario because Zelda has gotten proper remasters, right? You can say, oh, they didn't use Mario 64 DS, but Mario 64 DS is also just weirder, right? Like it's just like it's not like a straight upgrade necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no analog controls in that game, right? But that's not the case with Zelda, Twilight Princess HD, Wind Waker HD are like demonstrable upgrades from the original. I don't think they want to sell you the originals anymore, right? So I never thought that like a 3D All Stars type of collection was ever in the cards, quite frankly.
Sure.
But so Skyward Sword showing up and getting the same treatment that those previous games got, it makes sense, a lot of sense to me.
So those are the featured, right? We'll go through the headlines faster on these, right? We won't. I'll quickly talk about ports that are coming, right? You can stop me if you have anything to say about them. Fall Guys is coming in summer.
Dead game.
Outer Wilds is coming out in March, I think.
Why not?
I think Outer Wilds is summer.
Sorry. Then Plants vs. Zombies Live from Neighborville is March. That one that also got announced. And Hades is getting a physical release, everybody. I
was wondering why they spent so much time on the Hades thing. Nintendo is distributing the physical version.
Okay.
It all makes sense now.
Another thing they're distributing, just think this is funny, they're distributing DC Supergirl's.
No. They're publishing. They are publishing worldwide. They are the global publisher of this game, of DC. What is it? DC Superhero Girls Teen Power.
Yeah.
Which is coming out in June. So naturally, I am contractually obligated to pick it up.
Lord.
It's gonna be on my Game of the Year list.
Look forward to it.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind.
It's a Nintendo game. It's a first party release.
Oh boy. So speaking of other first party releases, we got a confirmation that Famicom Detective Club 1 and 2, which got confirmed all the way back in September 2019 in a Japanese direct, is coming worldwide. If you know what these are, the name might give you a hint. Famicom means that these things came back on the NES days. And they're visual novels, right? There's mystery to them, and Mina, I know you are incredibly excited about this. Yeah,
so this is like outside of Splatoon 3, obviously Splatoon one of my favorite franchises, so that's my game of the show for sure. This is like right below it though, to be honest. Like this is such an exciting announcement to me. I have been fascinated with the idea of this game since I read Ayumi Tachibana's fucking trophy in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
Right? Of this, oh my god, this Nintendo game that never came out in America. People talk about Mother 3. This is the real shit right here. Okay?
Why?
I find this game fascinating because if you don't know, these were Famicom disk system games, right? And apparently, so I was talking about this with a friend, and apparently Famicom disk system games are notoriously either extremely hard or straight up impossible to localize, fan translate, I should say, right? And so we never, and so the second game got a remake on the Super Nintendo, and that got a fan translation, and that's kind of a cult classic, right? People
played it.
People say like, you know, among Western audiences, like people in the fan translation community, like this is a game that's actually pretty popular, right? If you like sing games like Hotel Dusk, that takes a lot of inspiration from these games, right? But the first game has never, ever seen any sort of official or unofficial English release, right? So this is straight up the first time that anyone who speaks English can play this, or who only speaks English, I should say, can play this game, or can't play Japanese, I should say. Can't read Japanese. But, yeah, I think to have this, like, cult classic Nintendo first-party game that's just never been available, that in of itself is so fascinating. And I just love visual novels, too, right? So, I'm very excited for this.
I am also very excited for it, and I definitely plan on playing them, because, much like you, I love visual novels, so... And I was always interested in this series, too, since the same thing, you know? It's like, cool, we never got to play those games, and knew about it because of Melee. I feel like everybody knew about this game because of Melee.
That's the only way you would have known, right? Like,
definitely a big factor.
Learned about it for the first time.
But yeah, sing games, like I said, like Hotel Dusk or Another Code, like those are like modern, like almost like adaptations of these games. Like it, and I, you know,
isn't it Trace Memory?
Yeah, I don't know what they're called.
I think it's Another Code in Japan and Europe, but I think we got it as Trace Memory.
Sure. I never played that one, but I did play Hotel Dusk last year.
I haven't played either, but I'll play it someday.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, those heavily take inspiration from these games. I don't know if this, like, I doubt they're gonna live up to like this. You know, cult classics always have a reputation that's higher than
the reality.
Than the game probably is by itself, right? But I'm still very much, and it looks great, by the way.
Yeah, they're completely remade. It's not just the NES version.
Like, you know, it's so well animated. It looks really high production value. It's got voice acting. Apparently, Nintendo paid pretty high billing for the Japanese voice actors they got. It's not in English, dubbed, I should say.
Yeah,
right?
If it wasn't in English overall, it'd be a real problem.
Yeah, and that makes sense because, you know, and it's eShop only, right? But I think that, you know, I'm just happy to be getting this game in English at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming out soon, May.
Also announced, anyone got anything about Samurai Warriors 5?
You know?
When I first saw this, I thought it was Fire Emblem. I was sad.
You know, for a second I thought it was Fire Emblem too. But my other thought was, I can't believe they're only on 5.
For Samurai Warriors, yeah.
It feels like there's a lot of these games.
Well, I mean, it's also like Dynasty Warriors. They're all very similar and like,
but they're different,
slightly different names. It's fucking annoying.
Dynasty Warriors.
I also didn't know that.
Yeah.
At first, that this was a new game. I was like, oh, are we just getting like the newest PS4 game port? No, this is the first time this game was announced. Yeah. Like, oh, Samurai Warriors 5 just premiered here. So.
Yeah. Well, Warriors games generally have done well on Switch. Not even just Hyrule Warriors, but other ones have, so it makes sense. The Legend of Mana is getting an HD remaster.
This looks very pretty.
Very pretty. This is
oh man, I played this game so long ago. PS1 and coming back. I mean,
is this game held in the same regard as like Secret or Trials of Mana?
Well, not to me, and not. I don't think so. I don't really know too well how the community feels about it, but it's not. I don't think it's on the same level as Secret of Mana and Seiken Densetsu 3 or Trials of Mana.
Yeah. But still, I think it's like just cool that these things, like Mana is back, right? This remake sold 1 million copies. We found out last week, right? So,
cool. Which I mean, it's weird that this is just a remaster compared to a remake, but yeah.
No, they did add a lot of changes, right? Like they gave it a new soundtrack. They you could turn off encounters now, right? And so it's not like it's just a slapdash port. And PS1 sprites are so fucking pretty.
And I think they've redone art, like trailer, like the background artwork for a lot of areas, right? Like it's not just like they're putting a filter on it, you know.
Yeah, it looks good. So I'm actually kind of happy that it got this treatment versus like a full 3D remake.
Yeah.
I don't know. Trials of Mana looks good.
Yeah.
I agree. But I also think, to be fair, like you said though, of course we don't know how in the wider audience, but seemingly Trials of Mana is just a better game, right?
I think Trials of Mana is more sought after. I don't know if it's better.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, because it was, it never came out.
It has like a mythos to it.
Yeah, it never came out in English, right?
Exactly.
So that was a big deal.
I mean, yeah. So they gave it to us with the collection, and then they gave us the
full-on
remake.
Yeah. Travis touchdown. We finally got to see him cut people up in No More Heroes 3. And we got a date, which is August, right? In terms of new stuff they showed off, the main thing was, I guess gameplay, right? Which, but also he has essentially, I forget what it's called, but it's the power glove, right? And you can use that to activate various abilities and swap up which ones you have on it when you start the battle.
Yes.
Right?
It's got like Joy-Cons on it, like he's wearing Joy-Cons on his hand.
Yeah.
That was in Travis Strikes Again, by the way.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of makes sense.
We don't talk about that game.
That's the precursor to this. Hey, it's important. You won't know the lore.
It's not important.
You won't know what's going on in 3 if you don't play that game.
The game sucks ass.
It does.
But yeah, so that'll be happening. Neon White got shown off. I don't know if this was a new announcement or not, but I think it's the first time a lot of people have seen it, right? It's for the Donut County devs, which is strange.
I forgot about that game.
Yeah. Did you play it?
No, okay. I have no idea what it is. I mean, I don't even remember what the trailer was.
Oh yeah. This game?
I played that game.
This was the one that you're Steve Bloom and O all over it. But it's the one.
Oh, that's the one with like cards.
First person
shooter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very weird. I don't know how that works, but
yeah. But I think it's really interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think visually it was very striking.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they blend cards with first person action. I think that first person shooting even.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fascinating. It looks cool. I will wait till I see proper impressions of the game, but I'm intrigued.
I wonder how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to keep track of what card you have out to use. Yes, you seemingly have to use those cards for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like discard them or something.
Like even like your jumps are tied to that and stuff. Then Miitopia got a would you say a remake or a remaster? Like
a little bit of both. Like this is not just a straight port of the 3DS game, right? Like they have put in effort. Like this is it looks like, I mean, if it's anything like so Grezzo put Luigi's Mansion 1 on the 3DS, and that at first glance it seemed like a port. They just straight up remade Luigi's Mansion 1 on the 3DS. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being the same case here. That this is just a full remake. And they've added new features, right? It's not like they just it's the same game but prettier, right?
There's a horse.
There's horse.
And other things.
I'll make love to a horse.
Early on in the podcast, we talked about this. Brandon played it. You seem to like it, right?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I didn't even finish it, but I did have fun with what I played. I thought it was a cool game. I'll probably pick this one up.
Yeah, I'm interested.
This is a game I wanted to play, but it was like it's just one of those like it came out after the Switch came out, right? And you didn't want to pick up your 3DS after the Switch came out, right?
Yeah, I don't even know why I bought it.
Yeah, it's just like we were fully in on Switch at that point, so I personally didn't pick it up, despite thinking it looked pretty cool. But now it is on Switch, and now I'm interested in it, and I will definitely pick it up. Yeah. It's coming out in May too. Nintendo really packing this second quarter of the year.
Yeah, May, June, July. There's just a ton. There is Animal Crossing seeing Mario items. The main thing is you can have a warp pipe, which.
I like that. Like, I saw a lot of reactions to the Direct, and like everyone, when they saw this, was just like, "Oh my god!" Like,
one thing, it's the magic of Animal Crossing. It's something that would be so mundane in other places just gets a huge pop when it's.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, like just being able to warp to any part of the island, like obviously you have to set 2 warp points, right? But I think that's a big deal. I think that's and goes far beyond the scope that we thought that this Mario collaboration was going to go. Right? We thought it was just going to be furniture items
in Animal Crossing before, but they've never been like this.
To have this like big interactable element in it is huge.
Yeah.
I think the funniest implication is, you know how people will specifically make dream islands, right? That are like almost like a haunted house. Not like, sometimes literally, but it's like it's very directed, right? But a lot of times it's like
the whole theme.
Yeah. Whereas like you're like walking on a pathway and you're not supposed to deviate from that path, right? I feel like the warp pipes will be very useful in structuring those now. It's going to get a lot of value. There'll be a lot of heavy theming and then just the warp pipe sticking there because it's the only thing that'll let this work. But yeah, Star Wars Hunters. I don't know what the fuck this game is.
No one does.
Free to play.
No one does.
Looks like a free to play multiplayer game.
They say they describe it as a squad based multiplayer game. So and they should have mentioned free to play. Yeah.
It's published by Zynga.
Zynga.
It's probably like I assume it's some sort of mobile and Switch crossplay type of deal. I have to imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah. Next up, there was perhaps the worst trailer I've ever seen for Knockout City.
What the fuck was that?
This was such a dumb, weird trailer. Like, it was like all these...
Jeez.
The game might be fine. I'm into dodgeball, but I did not know what was happening for that whole game.
I think the game itself is like fine as an idea. Like that could be fun, but like, what the fuck was that trailer? Because I'm sitting here thinking, all right, this is gonna lead up to something, right? Like, are we about to get a game which this would be cool? Are we about to get a game that has like crosses like all these different styles together, and they like work together, or they're different factions fighting each other with like these different art styles? But no, it had nothing to do with it. Yeah. It was pointless. It was a waste of time too, because it was such a build-up. It was like fucking like 2 minutes. It was like, just get to like, if this is, it had nothing to do with it. It pissed me off. It's really stupid.
And then I guess the last three things. First, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity getting a season pass. Shocked it took this long, right? It is the first two characters we seem to be getting are Robbie and Purah, which were the ones in the code of the game, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's also weird that like the season pass, they announced it just now, and it's also like it's not the first pack is coming out in May, and then the second pack is coming out in November. Like, what is taking so long?
A whole ass year?
There's 6 months in between content for this game. That's so fucking weird, right?
I don't plan on getting this at all. I don't care.
I'll probably
dead game.
Dead game, yeah.
Then there was World Ends
Club. We played it.
Which was, whatchamacallit, from the Danganronpa and Zero Escape people.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This
I have
weird.
been... Yeah. So it's like a platformer, but also like an adventure, like visual novel type of game, right?
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this game for a while, because this was the first game that they announced when they spun off.
When they made this studio.
Yeah. And so this was announced a while back, and they've come out with projects since then, but this one's taken a while to come out. The first half of this game is already out on Apple Arcade, right? And to be fair, when in May, when the full version comes out to Switch, it's also gonna update on Apple Arcade, right? Kodaka has said as much, but I'm gonna play it on Switch. Let's be honest.
Sure.
I don't.
Well, the trailer, I almost feel like that makes more sense now, because they're like halfway through the game, this happens, and I was like, should I know this? Like, I don't. This feels weird.
Yeah, no, like the half of the game is already out.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And they just left it at a kind of a cliffhanger.
What a strange structure.
Yeah.
That is really strange.
To be fair, though, it's happened for maybe not as many narrative-based games, but this has kind of been a running theme with Apple Arcade, where like I don't know if they have just some sort of contract with Apple that they have to hit a date or something, right? But these unfinished games come out to Apple Arcade, and then later they come to Switch, and usually in the form of directs or Indie World or whatever, right? A lot of the time.
Yeah.
But when they come out, they're also just much more content rich than when they originally were, and then they go back and update the Apple Arcade version as well. But
it's so weird that they do that. Yeah, I remember Shantae and Seven Sirens doing that.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh, like part 1 is on Apple Arcade. I was like, they're doing this game in parts? Like, that's really weird. But like when it finally came to consoles, like it was just like the full game. Yeah. So it's such an odd thing.
Yeah, I wonder if Apple just has these weird, like, stringent, like, you have to get it up at this point, right? I don't know. But And it's funny. I mean, I've made this joke on this very podcast before, but like Apple Arcade is secretly one of the best things to happen to the Switch, right? Because we just get a lot of really quality games from it.
Wow, recycling content.
Yeah, just like Nintendo is with Apple Arcade games.
True.
And then the last thing, we end on a real banger. Ninja Gaiden. All three of them are coming. Specifically Ninja Gaiden.
What? Okay, so what?
Don't lie. I've been thinking about this game a lot the last few months. Like, especially the first game, not the other two, because the first game is the one I think is the best.
Yeah.
And the third game is not good.
Did you ever play Razor's Edge?
Yes.
Sorry, go
on. Because this is the updated versions of all of them, right? It's Sigma, Sigma 2, and Razor's Edge.
Yeah, well, I'm a little annoyed that it's Sigma and not Ninja Gaiden Black, but you know, that's a...
I was gonna say, what confounds me is that they just refuse to re-release Ninja Gaiden Black in any way. Like, it's backwards compatible on Xbox, right?
I was gonna say, I have it on Xbox.
Yeah, well, but that's the original version, right?
Yeah.
They've not re-released it in any way since then.
It's not the original version.
Well, I know. It's like the upgraded version of the original, right?
Yeah.
Like the original upgraded version of the original. And by all accounts, Sigma is a good game, but it's not as good as Black. And so it's just strange to me that they just the version that keeps getting ported is Sigma.
Yeah,
right?
I don't get it. I mean, I really like Ninja Gaiden Black a whole lot, and I don't know why I'm like so consumed with it in my thoughts recently, but man, I wish it would have came out here.
I would have liked to play it on Switch.
You can play it on Xbox. Bills.
It's not portable though.
I played it already. I played it multiple times.
I'm just saying, when you think
I might pick up this collection though. I'll play Black on Xbox, but I am interested in playing 2 and 3. This whole franchise. I think
Why would you play 3? Don't play 3.
Okay, well,
don't do it to yourself. It's pointless.
But I've always kind of been interested in this franchise, so and the only thing is it comes out in June, and God, we have so many goddamn games coming out in this. Like I said, from April to June, even July, it's like there's just so much coming out on this platform.
Also, I mean, why isn't Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 on the fucking NES online? What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You got Ninja Gaiden 1, but not 2 and 3, and I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
So there we go. That's the direct. We did a full hour on it, and we're not done. Pray for staff. But pretty good direct overall. There's a lot of stuff there.
I mean, they had one really, really big announcement in Splatoon 3, right? They, we got new Smash character. Mm-hmm. We got a bunch of other cool stuff, including stuff that I'm personally very excited about. So I'm happy.
I mean, I'm happy too. But they didn't announce the game that there was no inclination of it coming out, and I expected it to come out, and they didn't announce it, and I'm pissed about it.
Same, but also it's just and it's also just nice to know directs are back.
Sure.
Yes, it is.
Like so, if this one didn't have all your hopes and dreams, maybe the next one will.
Yeah,
we're back in the cycle.
Yeah, it's almost like I feel like people had the wrong approach of, it's been 500 days, surely this will be the greatest direct ever. When it's like, no, the reason that they held off for 500 days wasn't because they wanted to all save for a big direct. That was not the thing that was happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because COVID just didn't let them make one.
Yeah, and every developer's dealing with that, including Blizzard, who did BlizzConline. I can't believe they're the first one to make this pun. There was a couple things they had. They had a trailer for Diablo 4 showing off the Rogue. This is still happening as we're recording, so if other things happen, sorry we missed them. But the big thing we did get to is Diablo 2 Remastered. Which is going to come out later this year.
Diablo 2 Resurrected.
You mean Resurrected?
I apologize. It's coming to basically all major platforms, right? So
including the Switch.
Well, Diablo 3 did really well on Switch, right? So that's not much of a shocker. Has cross progression, which is good, right? If you are going to buy multiple. This is Vicarious Visions, right? We talked about them getting folded in. Clearly, we did not have to wait long to see what they were doing. So,
and this contains Diablo 2 and the expansion.
Yeah.
Lord of Destruction.
Yeah.
This expansion.
So, level of excitement for this is high. You think they're not going to probably not going to mess it up like they did Warcraft 3?
Can only hope.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Vicarious Visions has just a better record, right?
Yeah, but I mean, how much control do they really have? Who can say how much control they have?
Yeah.
Fair. People seem excited for it though. I've never played Diablo 2, and them retrofitting the control scheme to a controller, especially on Switch. I'm intrigued. I might play it. I don't know. Diablo 3 was decent, and this is by all accounts much better. So
yeah.
Do you think that Els, I think you're the most knowledgeable about Diablo on this podcast.
I played all the Diablos.
Do you think Diablo 2 really holds up in a way that people can still
It's hard to tell. I mean, at that point, the internet playing online was so new, especially for PC, even for PC games back then, and just being able to play with people that may have been a good amount of my enjoyment with the game, but I do remember this game, and especially the first game, having a lot of atmosphere and just it was a lot more customizable. Your characters were a lot more customizable. You still had to put stats in your stats. You still had skill. Well, in this game, I think you had skill trees. Mm-hmm. It's a lot different than 3, which is a lot pared down in that respect.
Sure.
Right.
In the character creation respect.
Yeah.
You have to make decisions here.
And that's kind of what I've heard for the most part, is 3 really pares down the player choice and the
role playing part of the role playing game.
The problem with 3 is that storytelling is fucking so ham-fisted, so
it's pretty bad
in the way.
Sure.
But in this game it's a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out this year.
So that's cool. And then also launching today, Blizzard's doing an arcade collection with Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn for $20. In terms of new stuff, you can do. There's the Rewind, right, which is now pretty much common in all old ports. You can save at any point in the games, right? And I think a very funny thing, a watch mode where you just watch a playthrough of the game and you just press the button for when you want to hop in and actually take control.
That's in a bunch of
stuff. But I think it's always funny.
That was in the Sega Sega Genesis collection they had with Aladdin and Lion King. I used that mode to get all the achievements in 10 minutes.
Fuck that thing.
Where's the sense of achievement there?
It's the number going up. There's no actual achievement to achievements.
Yeah, I felt good about it.
So that's neat. Obviously, there'll probably be more. Maybe not. Maybe we'll never hear from Overwatch 2 ever again.
They showed a little thing for Overwatch.
Did they?
Too.
What was there? Anything of note?
It's for a new stage that's coming, New York.
Okay.
And they said it's the first time anybody's ever designed New York in a different way, and I was like, that's not true.
But that's probably maybe.
Have you played Spider-Man?
Maybe it wasn't.
Who knows?
Yeah, have you ever played
maybe it was
Spider-Man game?
The thing I did see as we were recording that made me laugh was they had Metallica perform, and Twitch DMCA'd Blizzard and muted the stream and put music over it.
That's pretty funny.
That's great.
Apparently, they did a whole behind-the-scenes video for this, and they talked about some of their ideas of reworking the tank.
Yeah.
Talked about the story a little bit, the PvE elements, showed off some new designs, showed off Sojourn. I guess that's a new hero.
Okay.
So I mean, knowing that this game is not this year though, especially when it was announced in 2019, I'm just kind of mad on it right now. But
sure.
Yeah, I don't care right now.
I mean, Overwatch I like a lot, right? So Overwatch 2 I like too.
Yeah, same. Same. I like Overwatch.
So there it is. That's the news for this week. Plenty of it.
Wait, you forgot something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Skyward Sword Joy-Cons.
Oh.
Could you not mention
Oh, yeah.
The right one is the Master Sword. The left one is the shield. This is still Link left-handed erasure. I can't stand for, but it looks nice.
I kind of want to buy them.
Yeah.
Man, they went on pre-order, and I sent them to my friend. And then I was like, here you go. And then I was like, man, should I not? And then I didn't. And then an hour later, I was like, yeah, I should. And I clicked on it and they were sold out.
Sad.
But my friend got it, so that's good. I'm happy for him.
So there is the news now. We've now done it, right? Plenty to get to. But now we have the most important task every week. The list! Follow along in the paste bin below as every week we add a list, a game to an ever-growing, we're adding a whole new list, a game to an ever-growing list of 246 games, getting close to the 250 mark, right? Keep in mind, this is not the greatest games ever made. It's not the worst games ever made. It's a mix of all of them, right? We're comparing apples to oranges very often, and that can cause confusion and sometimes frustration, but that's the nature of the beast, baby. So, the last week, Super Mario World was added. It got to number 8. Oh boy. This week, I exact revenge because I'm picking... Saf is known to pick games when I'm gone that wreak havoc on me. That I just have a lot of thoughts about, I want to talk about. We end up not doing it. This week, he will have to deal with it in kind. I'm sorry when you're editing this, Saf. I want to add the characters that are going to be added in Smash Brothers to the list with Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
I told him to do it, and he didn't listen.
Oh my god.
So, if you don't know what this game is, it's RPG.
Sad.
On the Nintendo Switch. It is a sequel to the Wii game. Hard to believe. This is... it brings forward a lot of the sort of cooldown-based mechanics of the combat system of 1, right? There's auto-attacking. But I would say it makes it a lot more active, right?
Yes.
Through the blade system in multiple different ways, right? Rather than sort of just having one bar at the bottom, when you're playing as a character, you're a driver and a blade, right? And basically you can have up to 3 blades on at a time, and each of them have their own abilities, right? And with that, there's still the topple, like the stun, parry, topple. I forget the exact names, but there's that. In addition, there's now elemental orbs that you can work down, right? Brandon has some charts if you want to help figure that one out for yourself.
The chart, I love the chart.
But instead of being in the world of the Bionis, the Mechanists, there's these titans that sort of people build civilizations on the back of, right? That sort of is flying through this cloud.
In the world of Alrest.
The world of Alrest, yeah. We can talk about more, I guess, as we go. I think there's a really strong party in this game, right? Xenoblade 1 has a really good party too, obviously, but I think within obviously with every person, right, there's the blade and the driver I mentioned, right? And essentially the blade is a weapon you are wielding, right? But it's like a sentient weapon, and for them to have sentience, they have to be attached to someone, right? And so with that, instead, there's only really 4 main party members over the course of the game, right? Or 5, excuse me. But with them comes their like official primary blade, right? So really, there's 10 party members with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like Dromark, who's like this lion man, doesn't get to do very much, right? But I do think that they do a pretty good job of giving everyone something to sort of be juggling and doing throughout the narrative, right? People will sort of come and recede, and whereas I think in 1, I don't want to only compare it to 1, so I shouldn't be doing that. But I just think that they keep them active in a way that is nice. In terms of bugs, problems I have with the game, one, I understand that a lot of it can be very overwhelming in terms of tutorialization and even getting around the world, right? For a lot of people. And I think for me, my biggest thing is they have a ton of guest blades, right? Which are blades you get, when you beat stronger enemies, you get a crystal, you crack that crystal to get a chance at a blade, right? It's gotcha. No microtransaction elements to it, right? But it is gotcha, and like normally with gotcha, there's this element of like if you don't get a good pull for a while, you will eventually, it increases your odds, right? And they don't do that in this game, and I feel like that's a problem.
In fact, it's the opposite, because it's like every time you get one of the actual blades, because let's be honest, the generic ones, they're literally nothing.
They're
just out of the pool, but the chances of the other ones don't go up. So then you're just, as time goes on, every time you're doing a pull, you're just less and less likely to see something interesting.
I got all the blades. I 100% in this game, right? That's a big game. Because I liked it a lot, right? But getting the final blade, which is Cosmos, right, which is like a big one, took me about an hour and a half of grinding legendary crystals, right? Which are supposed to have the highest rate.
Doesn't seem that long. It doesn't seem that long. Actually.
Well, they're the ones that you get from fighting the super bosses,
luck.
Right?
It's not like it's entirely luck based, and that's so irritating. Like it's not. Right. This is not a fun way to do it. Like I like the idea of having different blades to change up how you play. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And even like getting different ones in your playthrough. Right. Having be like, I got this person, you got that person. Right. Yeah.
This is such a poorly thought out mechanic. Like this is just dumb, and I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. Like Monolith Soft. Game developers don't put in gacha systems because they think it's a fun gameplay mechanic. Sure. They do it to take money out of you. This game has no microtransactions. This makes no sense.
And they don't need to extend the length. You know, it's long enough.
This is already it's a fucking lengthy RPG. Like this is so just stupid. And quite frankly, it detracted a lot from my experience. To be honest with you,
I don't want to say it detracted.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it's annoying, but I don't think it's like a huge flaw in the game to me. I mean, you don't necessarily need these extra characters. I mean,
what if I just want to
use them for the extra missions or whatever? But I mean, when you get the cool ones, it's cool. I mean, it's only like a problem if you want 100% the game.
Yeah.
But it also might be I just really want to play as Cosmos, right? And maybe I never will. You know?
I didn't realize you had such a strong attachment to Xenosaga of all things.
But speaking of those side quests, I do think that they are neat, right? They're sort of tied behind getting up your affection with someone, right? Which can be a little grindy. But like Xenoblade 1's thing was like there's really interesting worlds and there can be interesting side characters, right? And I think this continues that, right? But the thing that sort of caught me off guard was like obviously with the blade and the driver thing, and especially with Pyra and Mithra looking like they do, there's like some pretty uncomfortable elements at play of like, you know, like you're literally owning this sword woman and like you need to live for her to live and stuff like that, right? But at the end of it, right, even though
never mind the fact that like the love story elements between Rex and Pyra are just so weird. Like he's like 15 and she's like 500.
Yeah, I
like,
mean
what the fuck.
Yeah, well, it's even weirder in the context of Torna because you just see that like, oh, like Rex is like, I mean, but it does touch on that in the game, right? People keep telling Rex like she's gonna be around and you're gonna be dead, right? And Rex that like messes with him, right? But he comes to the conclusion of like that's life, right? Like you leave an impact on people because of the ability, not because like you're always there, but because you made an impact and that keeps on through them, right?
I meant more like the age difference.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah, there's a lot of fraught elements, right?
Yeah.
But I thought that there was side quests where I thought that was really interesting and engaging, right? Like the one where it's like the woman who, because obviously the blade driver thing is an analogy for relationships a lot of the time, right? And like there's one where like she is the same age because she's the blade, right? He's an old man and he's dying, right? And they went from being like a married couple to being like a caretaker for an old person, right? Mm-hmm. And sort of like he passes on, spoiler alert, right? And then you take her with you, right? And it's like those are stuff that I was like, man, I didn't think it would go there in like a way that's like actually interesting rather than just like baiting for waifu, culture,
Yeah. That was a cool side quest.
Yeah, and there's like several of those along the way, right? So I think that those are strong. Like I said, my biggest qualm is with the chorus. And then it's when I beat the game, I was like, you know what? Largely, I feel like emotionally this wraps up in a way that I'm fine with. I like, right? But like on paper, there's like a bunch of like, what? This is JRPG nonsense, right?
It's silly.
Well, I mean, when you talk about the end of the game, I think the pacing of the game like really fumbles.
I haven't beat the game yet, but
sure,
really fumbles a bit at the beginning and at the end.
Sure,
like at the beginning, it's really confusing because they drop you off in like, I forgot what the name of the first area. Gorma, and then the other one where you're like in the middle of the guy's stomach.
Yeah,
the Titan stomach, and those places are not that fun to explore. Like there are fun to explore places in this game, like Temperantia, like the later areas. Mm-hmm. They're really cool, but like the starting areas, not great.
No, yeah,
especially when you're just starting out trying to figure out
just
what to do.
Annoying.
I didn't mind Gormat. I don't.
No, the area after Gormat.
Oh, you mean the one where we're inside it?
Yeah.
That area is just annoying to navigate. It's not fun.
Yeah. And I mean, there are problems, like the map is not useful in this game.
Yeah, and those are things.
The mission markers are not useful,
right?
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it was even worse at launch, right? So that's the thing is, I know they've improved stuff as post launch, right?
They also ruined stuff by like getting rid of that guy's repeating.
Think you can take me? Don't forgive me. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. So. Yeah, I'm not sure. Did you do any of the DLC? Like, not Torna, but like the Shulk Coliseum stuff?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like, very little.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say by the pacing at the end, I think it's like the second to last chapter that it's just it's just like a corridor.
It's a wall of cutscenes. It's a lot.
Yeah. But the reason why it's a corridor is because that part was supposed to be what Torna is. That Torna was taken from that part and made into its own thing.
Oh, I had no idea about that.
So initially, that was supposed to be Torna,
sure.
That whole section, but they took it out because, I guess they couldn't complete it in time.
Yeah, they straight up said, Takahashi said Torna, Torna was gonna, what we got in Torna was gonna be there, and they just didn't have enough time. Yeah. Like, they just didn't have enough time to finish the game.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it would have made, well, I mean, after playing Torna's pretty long, so it wouldn't have made sense in one chapter, but... Yeah. I mean, if they would have pared that down and fit that there, that would have made a lot more sense with Jin's whole story.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, you can feel the absence of that in there.
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna say, because when we talk about Red Dead, and we mention Undead Nightmare, right? We mentioned Last of Us, we mentioned Left Behind. Do we mention Torna in this ranking or not?
I don't. I wouldn't. It's such a big game.
Sure.
But I mean, if you want to put it together, I guess I don't know.
That changes this whole conversation for me, but
I know
Torna just so much feels like a standalone thing to me that I'm not standalone, but it's so its own game, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's I would say a lot bigger gameplay differences in Torna than in Left Behind or Undead Nightmare, right? Which I feel is almost harder on this game, right? Because it's the same cost, functionally, it's just a better expansion, in my opinion. But and I still like those expansions too. But yeah, I would probably say we don't put it in there, right?
Okay.
But I just wanted to get a vibe check. So we talked about it a lot. Where do we want to put it, right? Because Brandon, you got close enough.
Well, the other thing I want to mention, the elephant in the room, the character designs are bad in this game.
Yeah.
I just I like a good chunk of the main party, right? But also the actual main characters, Rex and Pyra, look like shit.
Garbage.
Right? Just straight up look like shit.
I didn't mind it.
And
Rex was dumb.
To the point where I don't like these characters as much because they look so bad. Sorry, it is that bad to me.
Yeah, it's because you're a simpleton.
I mean, and even Rex's second outfit after he gets further along the game is somehow worse.
It's a lot.
I don't get it.
It is a lot.
How do they do it?
Rex has a really stupid outfit. I mean, obviously Pyra too, but
you at least get that there
was weird
titillation with Pyra. With Rex, there's what there's a diving suit. I don't know.
I mean, I'm horny dude. I get it, but I also had a problem with I guess all the Blade characters, they were really hit or miss, and also they had a different artist for every single one, and all the different art styles were to me it seemed kind of like they clashed.
Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't a unified sense of design. You could definitely feel they were
different artists.
That you could tell that they didn't. That they didn't belong in a lot of cases, right? It just
I mean, that didn't bother me that much. I would say that's stuff that I think.
I don't think it's detrimental, but it was...
to me it was though.
Yeah,
to me it was detrimental.
Yeah, I think on the scale of things that are detrimental to not, this is one of the lesser detrimental.
And on that note, though, I speaking of the part of the reason I think a lot of the character design is bad is because the titillation in this game is just so over the top, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where it feels embarrassing. And on that, it's specifically this game is so tropey, right? There's so much I get it, JRPGs,
sure.
This is kind of baked in, right? But there's so much anime bullshit in this game that just annoys me. Why do they like to center the camera on Pyra's tits, you know? Like, why do they have the stupid, like, oh, Mitra's in my bed, I can't believe it, right? And Tora's whole deal, like, there's so many just, like, annoying, like, gross anime tropes that fucking...
And Nia declaring her love for no reason at all.
Nia's thing is hilarious, because... I mean, I didn't think that was out of nowhere, right? It was clearly coming.
It was out of nowhere.
No, that one was coming, clearly, right? But the Rex's response of, Nia, I love you, and everyone else is perhaps the funniest response that could possibly be given to a calculation of love.
God.
But, I mean, we've been talking about the flaws. I still really like this game.
No, yeah. I mean,
yeah, but
they're just
like, I want to preface that
flaws.
before we go into the ranking, because I'm going to give a number, and people might be like, where the fuck did he get this number from? Right?
No, yeah. To say something positive, I do like the action in the cutscenes. I mean, those cutscenes are really, really good. Yeah. Especially when Jin and Rex are fighting.
Well directed, I'd say. Good. Right? Like,
yeah.
And I mean, I think the combat is among my favorite in RPG straight up. Like, and that's...
Yeah, I think it's a marked step up from Xenoblade 1. Yeah. And X, of course.
Yeah. I like the combat a lot. I thought it was fun. It takes a while. It takes a bit to, like, get used to all the systems that are going on, but like when it clicks, you're like, this is a really fun combat system. It's engaging. You know, that I think that's what I like a lot. Because with me, RPGs, they need to stay engaging for me a lot of times with the battle system, or like I fucking fall asleep while playing the game.
Like the one thing is the battle system has so many systems that you kind of don't know what you're doing sometimes. But at least you're still discovering things throughout the entire game, right? Rather than just sort of having your flow chart that you figure out 20 hours in and it still works 40 hours later, you know?
Yeah.
So where do I want to put it?
Damn, I still have so much to say about this game.
I know. Well, we can't. The problem is I picked on the week that we also have gone long in general.
Yeah.
I mean, last thing. Okay, last thing. The ending, it's good. It's very good.
Okay, good. I agree. 20. I would put it in like the low 20s, early 30s. I guess would be my personal spot.
Okay with that.
Yeah. My gut says below Phoenix Wright and above Mario Kart.
I'm thinking like below Suikoden 2.
I haven't played Suikoden 2.
It's hard. That one's hard.
I can't. I mean, like, I don't. But to be fair, I also wouldn't mind putting it below Mario Kart and Cuphead, though. So, you know.
If it was just me, I would put it maybe above like Metal Gear. But also like Splatoon is maybe my hang up. I don't know.
I'm the only person here who hasn't beat it, but I also did play it for like 70 hours. So
got to the finish line, yeah.
But yeah, I would put it below Donkey Kong Country 2. Actually, no, below Black and White. But that's probably a losing battle for me.
I think right below Phoenix.
I mean, again, I haven't put Suikoden, so I can't tell you for sure. I wouldn't mind putting it above DKC2, but also if I don't know, Ills, where are you at?
I'm fine with below Suikoden 2.
Okay.
Like I said.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm that works for me personally.
Sure, and I'll take it as high as I can get it. Right, so I'm fine with that. If because Suikoden 2 is very good. Right. It's funny they are both very good RPGs, but I would say their strengths are almost opposite. So, anyways, there it is. At number 34, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and the Nintendo Switch. Maybe one day we'll rank Torna. We'll see how that compares. Surrounding it, was number 34. Surrounding it at number 32, we have Cuphead. 33, Suikoden 2. 34, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. 35, DKC 2, Diddy's Conquest. And 36, Pokemon Black and White. That is the list. That is the podcast.
Now your highest ranked game.
Whoa! Congrats to me. That is the podcast. Who wants to do plugs? Who wants to final phrase?
I'll take us out.
Well, I guess that means I gotta do the plugs, huh?
Brian, you should just go in knowing you're gonna do the plugs. You're not you're the plug guy, you know?
I'm the plug guy. I am your plug. Call me when you need me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
hit me up on your burner. I will hook you up for all your podcast needs. But if you enjoyed listening to the Jump Up Supercast, make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast listening service of your choice, whether that is SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, or just search us on Google. I'm sure a podcatcher will have us somewhere. New episodes of the Jump Up Supercast go up every single Monday. We also have another show, the Jump Up Supercast Game Club, that I host, and those go up every other Thursday, where we just play a game for 2 weeks, and then we talk about it. And we are currently playing right now Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, which I started the other night. And interesting video game. That's all I got to say about it right now. So you probably want to check that episode out. Trust me. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share, and feel free to let us know what was your favorite game on the Nintendo Direct. Which one are you looking forward to the most? If you didn't like the Nintendo Direct, shut the fuck up and support us if you. That was mean. But if you want to, support the podcast, even if you didn't like the Nintendo Direct, I'm sorry I was yelling at you. But $1 a month, you can support this podcast, and we let you choose one of our Game Club games every round, including this game that we're playing right now, which is chosen by Patreon supporter named Kevin. And, if there's a game that you really want us to play, make sure... you can do that. You can do that. Just $1 a month. And you also get access to our Patreon, where you can, or not to our Patreon, to our Discord server, where you can just join and talk about video games, join the community. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to stay up to date on everything when we post the episodes and when they go live. And we have a twitch.tv/jumpupsupercast, where I have to play a golf video game every single week for the golf club, and I am going to do that. So if you want to hang out and play golf game, I got some good ones lined up, by the way. Okay, I'm going to play through Golf Story. I'm going to play through the Game Boy Advance Mario Golf game, maybe the Game Boy Color one. I got a RPG golf game that only came out in Japan. That was on the Sega Genesis, where you're like a robot anime girl and you go around and murder people on the golf course. It's crazy. I got a lot of golf games lined up, and of course we'll be playing multiplayer games. Will, you might join sometimes. Noah, I'm sure will be there. So it's gonna be fun. Mina, you're playing Demon Souls. Yeah. Check us out. Twitch.tv/jumpupsupercast. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. Go out there, play video games, be nice to each other, and Mina, take us out.
Saf, Will did you real dirty. You put literally hundreds of hours into this game, You have full permission to rank Wind Waker now, when Will's not here.
Fuck off.